with a green shirt on. We're now recording, and I'm in front of my plants and my wall lattice here. Closed captioning is enabled and can be turned on at the bottom of your Zoom window. At Inform Your Community, we offer events that combine important, impactful information with having fun. You can visit us at informyourcommunity.org. You can find our social media links on the bottom there. Tell your friends to sign up for our mailing list. And of course, you can donate using the donate link at the top right of the page. If you're watching the recording of this video, please take a moment to like and subscribe. We love to hear what you think of our crafts and to see your finished projects. So show us during the event, show us on social media, and tag us. This event, as I said, is a part of our Craftivism program where adults learn different art techniques while discussing relevant issues. Today, we're going to be talking about financial literacy. So this is an important topic. We were just talking about how some people think they're financially literate and maybe aren't, and some people probably think they aren't, and maybe they're doing better than they think. We know that 20% of adults 35 and older said they're worried about retiring without having enough money set aside. So this is a top financial concern. This was according to the Consumer Finance Literacy Survey. It's more concerning that 52% won't afford retirement essentials. Our perceptions about what we need in retirement are off from reality. And this is a great reason to get to know more about this topic. So today, helping us, we have Dylan as our co-facilitator. Hi, Dylan. Are you muted? I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. I heard you a minute ago.
Sometimes if you mute and then unmute, it works.
Oh. Can you hear him, Tyler?
No.
Me neither. Where did you
That's
go?
strange.
Well, we're also happy to have Tyler here with us. Tyler is helping us with tech and will help monitor the chat. Hi, Tyler. Thanks for coming. And of course, we have our master crafter, our other master crafter, our other Stacy. Hi, Stacy.
Hi. Can you hear
Stacy
me?
L. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Later. Okay, great.
And I just want to let everybody know, if they have questions throughout the craft, comments, you can unmute yourself, you can write in the chat, and feel free to show us your work in progress as well as you're working. And we'll wait for Dylan. Stacy, you can introduce yourself.
I'll introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy. My pronouns are she and her. I am a white woman with curly brown hair. My shirt is a purplish, plummish color. My background is gray. I picked this craft because I was looking for something that was financially related. And as someone who is self-employed, I do need to keep, I know how important it is to keep receipts and save documents. So when tax season comes, I'm not scrambling around for a headache. I don't have a headache to find like all my records that I need. So I know I will have them all in one nice, cute little space. So today we're going to be making a mini desk organizer for saving receipts. And those particularly small items that do get tend to get lost. So as you can see here, these are my guest receipts. I can continue on, or should I wait to?
Maybe I'll give Dylan a little intro.
Okay.
While we wait for him anyway. So it sounds like Dylan is a financial professional. He's with Equitable Advisors, LLC. And he's joining us to help us just be more informed about financial and insurance and investment information. But his educational content is not really advice, right? He's just here to guide us in our understanding of this stuff. So hopefully he will be here soon. We heard him a minute ago. We were having a conversation, and then he seemed to drop out. I don't know what happened to his mic, but hopefully he gets it back up soon.
Tyler, I'm sure, is working on that in the background.
Thanks, Tyler.
I will continue on. So for our art technique today, we are going to be learning about scrapbooking. I do love scrapbooks. I happen to make a couple of pages. I won't go and say that I did, when my children were younger. It's I never completed an entire scrapbook. But is he there?
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Dylan.
Hey,
Gotcha.
everyone. I apologize for that. Some technical difficulties, but we are here. So I'm going to just speed up so we can get caught up and move on with our event today. My name is Dylan Stroup, and I'm a financial advisor. I've done this for about 15 years. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a white male. I have brown hair. And the background here is a photo that I took of Nantucket. So that is a place I enjoy to go. One of the things about this project, we mentioned receipts earlier. As a small business owner, that it's important to try to keep track of the money that we spend. And, accumulating wealth doesn't have to be that difficult if you, live within your means and you pay yourself first. So I'm happy to be here today, and hopefully we can improve everyone's literacy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
So I'll continue on with just one bit of scrapbooking advice before we continue is always remember that less is more. Although there are going to be lots of cool things to add, you don't need to add all of them. Just add what you love as you're going along. Add it in a way that you're going to love it and you're going to see it. You can always add. And always remember you can never take away once you've glued items on. As a bonus, you'll have made this receipt holder today as this scrapbooking art technique that you'll be able to use with a full-size file holder, or you can use a full-size cereal box very easily once you learn this technique. So your goal for this project is to treat the file folder as if it's a scrapbook page. So that's just another thing to keep in mind as we continue on. And let's see. Dylan, is there anything you'd like to add? Okay. So while folks are contemplating that that tip about scrapbooking, I'm going to talk about materials that everyone is going to need for our project today. So everyone is going to need the template, which you are able to also find on the event page, or possibly in the email if you've registered. A pen or pencil, scissors, as you can see, a hardcover book, although that's not always 100% necessary. If you don't have the book handy, that's fine. A ruler also, and a business card for sizing if you also don't have a ruler, because we need about 2.5 inches. So that's what everyone's going to need. If you do not have our kit, the template again that was in the event email, and you can find on the Eventbrite page also. So if you can print that out, you're going to need that if you haven't already. A piece of paper or cardboard, optional contact paper, which is going to act as a base, and you could also use wrapping paper. So that's something that's going to go, as you can see here, the contact paper goes around. So wrapping paper, if you have a piece of that, and optional, any type of embellishments. Again, think of your template as your scrapbooking page and what you'd want to add to it to embellish it. If you do have our kit, just be careful when you do take it out. There are little flowers inside the baggie that will tend to go all over. Again, you'll find our template. The base is a neon or clear contact paper, which is self-stick. 3 different scrapbooking strips. 3 different, you'll find that in your kit. A double-sided white strip. So this is not a scrapbooking strip. This is actually double-sided tape, if you do have that. You will also just find some embellishments, some stickers. Inside the bag, there's also a white puffy piece. Be very careful with that as well. Heart shape, small plastic flower confetti type items. So those are items that you can just keep out in front of you. And while our crafters are working on making sure they have all of these materials, Dylan, can you tell us some basic financial terms that we should know about?
So the financial services industry, and I think the finance in general, has lots of terms. It's a highly regulated industry. And so before I get into one of the terms, I did want to just remind everybody that any of the financial information that we're discussing today is really just for educational and informational purposes only, and it's not designed to be financial advice for people. I work with Equitable Advisors, which is based in New York. So I just wanted to let you know that piece. And, speaking of all the different financial terms that are available, I think one of the basic things that everyone should be aware of is the term called an asset. So what is an asset? An asset is an item of value that you own. So a financial value. So this could be like stocks, bonds, real estate. It could be precious metals. It could even be jewelry that you might wear on a daily basis. Cryptocurrency, things like NFTs, which some people may have heard of, precious artwork, are all examples of an asset. And when you talk about assets, assets go up and down as our economy changes over time. Some assets can be very volatile on a day-to-day basis or a year-to-year basis, and other assets go in big, long cycles where they may increase in value over a long stretch of time, but they may also decrease in value for a long stretch of time. So things like your bank account typically stays pretty stable. That's an example there, versus the stock market changes up and down all of the time. So it's really important to understand the risk that you're taking on when you talk about different asset classes, the volatility that might be associated for it. And maybe you prefer having something that's not volatile and is a little bit more on the stable side of things. So those are, I think, some of the basic, one of the basic terms that, I would share with everybody.
Great. Those are definitely important terms to know. And do you know what else is important for our event today?
What's that?
The first step in our craft instruction. So if you don't have our kit, hopefully you've printed out the template and you do have that ready to go. That was, again, in the event email, or you can find it on the Eventbrite page now. You can use this template as this template on a piece of cardboard or a large greeting card if you have cardstock, just to make it a little more firmer if you'd like. And you can use this as your outline. You can even cut it out onto a cereal box if you do have one handy. You can outline that on the cereal box. If you have our craft kit, you will want to cut out the excess. So take your scissors and you can use it to, if you have our, use the template as your actual file holder. This is actually going to be your file holder if you receive the kit. Cut out the template, and so you can see like it kind of looks like a rocket ship. If you have sides on the side, mine does not, so I don't need to cut those. You would cut those out first. And then these pieces along the bottom and the top here. And if you have a little top piece, so you just don't want any excess sides. So let's see, we can continue on and cut those pieces. And as I cut, Dylan, I'm not the expert, but I think budgeting is way important for financial well-being. Is that?
Of course. I mean, we talked about receipts a little bit earlier and how that helps you maybe become aware of your budget. And I think knowing the concept of cash flow is very important. And that's simply just trying to get an idea of how much money are you able to bring home each month versus how much you're spending. And hopefully you can identify that you are able to save a little bit every month. And that helps us establish an emergency fund or a safety net. And this could be, typically it's a savings account, or some sort of asset. We said the word stability earlier on. The emergency fund really should be a stable part of your life. So if you have unexpected bills or the financial hiccups, which we all go through from time to time, this is where that emergency fund comes into play. Typically 4 to 6 months of someone's expenses is what we try to do to build an emergency fund, because there's been a lot of research about that. But amazingly, 41% of people who have some sort of healthcare insurance, they still end up with unexpected medical bills. So it's still, you know, even though we think we're okay, things always pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, believe it or not, not everybody has a savings account. So, you know, actually 1 in 5 people don't have a personal savings.
Well, that's important information, and let's save some time for that later to discuss some finances more. But for now, I'm going to continue cutting this, and we're gonna move on to step 2 for our crafters.
Sounds good.
Okay, so here we go. So we have our pieces cut out, and what we're going to do is we're gonna fold these pieces now, and all the excess that you cut, you can just discard. We don't need those pieces. So you're gonna fold along the lines, the side lines here. You can see, oh, sorry, can everyone see that? I'll hold it in front of me. I think it's just a little easier to see. So you're gonna fold that side, and you're gonna fold these lines here. And that's where you can use your book. If you don't have nails to kind of go like along the lines, you can put a book there and make it easier to create the fold. So you're now going to hold this rocket ship, I will call it, upside down, and fold along the bottom so that you're essentially folding it straight across. I'll try to do that here. So we just want all these folds. I'm trying to get a good sense of layout of my land here. Can everyone see that? Yeah, so we're just folding all of these up so that it is like straight across and make it a nice crease. So basically just come straight across like that, as you can see. As we're folding, I have a question for you, Dylan. Do financial issues affect life beyond paying bills?
Of course. And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, when we have financial issues, it can have an impact on our personal lives. You know, one study found that 36.7% of divorces occur because of some type of financial problem. And I think that having the ability to communicate accurately about finances with those we love is an important thing to do. The census data also shows that 65% of people in the United States are homeowners. And one of the issues we have is if we have an unstable financial situation, it can affect our ability to have home ownership or even to be a renter. So when you have issues with, you know, where you live, a lot of the bills that we pay on a monthly basis are affiliated with the residence that we live in. And so if we don't have, you know, if we're having financial issues, it can become not only difficult to pay the bills, but impact our housing, ability to have a stable address to receive those bills. And it could be also an issue for your kids. Because again, if you're having some problems with where your living situation, it's hard for the community to determine where your kids are zoned for your school. So now that's really impacted every point of your life, from your home to your marriage to your children. So a lot of times we take for granted financial security. And, you know, it certainly is a luxury, or is it a privilege? You know, it's just something that in general, like, we don't want to take for granted. You know, we're all very fortunate as to where we are being in the US. Our world here is very different, you know, sometimes than other countries, but we always want to remember that not to take our financial stability for granted.
Yes, very important. And I'm going to hold my next thought. I do just want to mention for our crafters that you do want to fold, as I hope you were seeing, along those inside lines as well. And that's where the book comes in handy too. So you can already start to see our holder taking form. So on the topic of what Dylan was mentioning, I also want to mention that Barbara Ehrenreich wrote a book called Nickel and Dimed on Not Getting By in America. It was written in 2001, over 20 years ago, but the points are still relatable today. Specifically, she talks about her experience living as a low-wage worker and the problems she faced just trying to make ends meet.
Exactly. And though all of us at the event today may be able to make ends meet, hopefully we'll all work hard to make sure that we're living within our means. And I suppose we should get back to the craft. So don't forget to pay yourself first. And what's the next step?
Thanks. Okay, so again, the technique today is scrapbooking. So we're going to now think this is actually going to be the base. And so remember that less is more. Think about this as your scrapbooking page. Pick your base for scrapbooking. So if you have our kit, you have two options. You basically can use this as your white cardstock. If you have your neon contact paper, it's self-stick. You have clear, purple, green, yellow, orange, I believe. So everyone that has our kit should have that contact paper. And if you're using the contact paper, you're going to be able to add embellishments underneath. So just to give you an idea, like I did here. The fun part about contact paper is that you can use it to hold the embellishments inside. If you don't want the hassle of the contact paper, you can just use stick glue and add embellishments later on. So again, this part we're just thinking. If you don't have our kit, you have your cereal box, a large greeting card. Think about whatever you cut on. If you're going to use what's going to be your front. So obviously, if I cut the template on this cereal box, do I want to use the front of the decorated box, or do I want to use the inside cardboard to give myself a clean slate to really embellish it the way I want to? Then you would incorporate the design however you would like. So you have your blank slate really for scrapbooking. So we're going to move on to step 4. So you're going to stick if you have the contact paper and that's what you choose to use as for your base. If you don't have our kit, hold tight, we're going to get to that. If you don't want to mess with contact paper, that's fine. Also, you can glue embellishments on later. If you do have our kit and you're going to use contact paper, all right, hold on 1 second. Are we? Yes. Use the template. Yes, you're going to. Hold on. Are we peeling this? Yes, we're slowly peeling the contact paper away. I had to get my bearings on our steps. Yes, so grab your contact paper and take this off, and we're going to. It's very forgiving concept. That's the good thing about contact paper is you can undo it, like take it off. But you're basically going to stick it on. Don't worry, pick one side, and you're going to go across, not the folded up part on the bottom, but definitely on the sides. And if you can't get it exactly right, you have scissors, so you can cut it off. So it's probably best that I leave this black. And I'm gonna go like this. And wrestle with it a bit. And you're going to just cut off any of those excess pieces, basically to be the same size as your base. We're going to trim it to size. Anyone have any questions? about the craft or even for Dylan? No? Okay. So I'm just trimming the contact paper to size here. And it's sticking to my sheets. Okay. So you can see now that my rocket ship has some color. So we're still looking at this basically as our scrapbooking page. We're not actually going to decorate it yet. We're going to use some of the material to decorate it, but we're not actually doing that yet. So if you put out all the materials in front of you so that you do have what you're thinking about, you can, you know, what do you like, what do you dislike, what do you want the focal point to be, so you can kind of get an idea as you hold this. And we can actually fold it, because as we start to work with it, we do want to make sure that this is foldable. So you can just bend it again where your contact paper is. And if you're using your wrapping paper, so same thing, you would put that on top and cut the excess and just fold it along. So do you want to, part of scrapbooking is layering, even using inspirational quotes, maybe some, if you have beautiful handwriting and you want to handwrite on here. So we're just going to start to think about how we're going to create this to look like what we want. In the meantime, Dylan, I'm hoping you'll tell us the bad news. What is the worst financial literacy that we need to know?
Yeah, so some of the one of the worst things about financial literacy is financial abuse. And so financial abuse, typically occurs with an elderly population. It can also occur typically with spouses even, or disabled people who have cognitive impairments are at high risk of financial abuse. A lot of times this happens when material facts are not fully disclosed to a consumer, or occasionally, unfortunately to say it, there could be false or misleading information. And that's why I read the disclosure earlier, right? Because our industry is regulated, and a lot of the laws and regulations in our industry have to do with preventing these issues. One of the things I think everyone, if there was one takeaway I would give everyone to protect themselves today, is that to protect yourselves from financial abuse, anytime you're working with a financial institution, you can actually designate what's called a trusted contact person. And a trusted contact person is someone that you can designate for your financial firm to call on your behalf. They can't transact on your account, but let's say I'm trying to get a hold of a client and I can't get a hold of them. They live alone, or maybe they're having some cognitive issues that I'm concerned about. A trusted contact person is someone that I can go to and legally to say, hey, I'm worried about so-and-so. So financial exploitation, identity theft, fraud, dealing with inappropriate loans. Sometimes we call them like loan sharks. There are also institutions that don't provide good terms for loans. These are all different things to worry about. However, looking for a established financial institution that follows, these legal protocols is one way that you can protect yourself. I really think the trusted contact is really important for people. But a lot of times that's what happens, unfortunately, in those populations.
Yeah. That's very sobering. I hadn't realized how many different types that there were. I'm going to do what a lot of us do when we hear something we don't like related to finances, and I'm gonna have to
change the topic.
And we're gonna move on to step 6. Now, I do have to apologize because I goofed myself. I'm sorry. So I don't know if you saw as Dylan was talking, I cut off the side. So these little back flat pieces, that's not where you want to have your contact paper. So as you see, I just cut off the end. And there's just a little bit missing here, but that's okay, because the good thing about scrapbooking is we have so many decorations that we can use, and I can put something there to cover it up. So that's the joy of creativity and art techniques. So now let's actually make the file folder. You're going to, like I had mentioned, like just refold it so that if you do have a piece and you're using the contact paper, you just want to refold it so that this bends nicely. Again, you can use a book, the spine of a book against it if you need to add more firmly. So fold the template into, as you can start to see, a little file folder taking place here. On the smaller tabs on the bottom are going to go underneath. So these are our smaller tabs. You want to make sure they are underneath, and then the bigger tabs. Let's see, and the widest side of the front tab should be in the front, covered as much as possible. So one of these tabs is a little bit wider than the other, so you may just have to refold it and just play with it a little bit, as you can see. Okay, so as you can see, it's taking shape as I'm holding it. What you're going to do is pull out the longest white paper that you, the white paper strip, which is actually, for those maybe just joining, it is double-sided tape. So you're going to cut this into approximately 2.5 inches. And if you don't have the ruler, that's where the card comes in handy. You can use a business card and do it that way. So just make a mark, and we're going to cut this 2.5 inches. And then we're also going to take that and we're going to cut this again long ways. So we just want to cut it in half. So we're going to need both of those pieces. So save that other piece. So you're going to take one side of this double-sided tape and peel it off. This is always tricky part when you're working with double-sided tape. So you're just gonna take that off. And again, what we want is the wider of the flap on the outside. So you're just gonna lift this and place it inside here. It's basically, we're taping it together. And then you can peel the other side off. If your nails are working for you, not against you. And we're going to press that together. And you just have to rub it and press firmly together. The bottom of the file folder, you're going to take the other piece of tape, and again, those smaller flaps are going to be on the inside. And we're going to take this off. Let's see. Sorry. So yeah, as I'm going to show you, I just want to show you one tip before I pass this on to you, Dylan. What you want to do is, if there's any excess, I'm going to place this on here. But if there is any excess, like mine has, you want to cut that before you put it, press it firmly. So I'm just going to cut that excess off. And then I'm going to stick it together. And if you need to, if your hands, you can't get in there well, Because you want to place at the bottom, what you can do is stand it up and take your ruler or something and like just press firmly inside if you can't reach in there. Dylan, on to you.
I don't think, all of this discussion about regulations and terms needs to be that depressing, though. I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of really good opportunities out there for consumers. Again, a lot of the laws that are out there to protect the consumer and to reduce fraud in the marketplace. But, there are some like really great opportunities. One thing people should know about are what's called a credit union. Credit unions are not-for-profit financial institutions, similar to a bank. They usually require some type of membership or affiliation. For example, if you were a teacher, there would be a credit union that would cater towards the education community. Typically, they have better terms than traditional banks, but I think when looking at banks in general, it's good to ask a bank, is my money safe here? Is it an established bank? And when looking at different types of loans and requirements, it's always good to consult with like a loan officer at a bank, a reputable bank. There's also something called a SUSU, which I recently found out about. It's not a traditional bank, but it's more of like an informal loan club. It's probably not something that's the best for everyone, but it could be helpful maybe for someone who didn't have a lot of credit and they were trying to get some sort of loan to start a business or something like that. It's used quite a bit internationally, but it could also be used locally. But it would definitely is not for everybody, but it's just good to know that something like that exists. Again, it's like an informal loan group. So speaking of loans, there's also been a lot of discussion about student loan forgiveness. Obviously, we know there's a huge issue with the cost of education in our country, and also the cost of the debt that occurs when you're graduating from getting your education. So some of the main issues around student loans and debt are compounding interest. So when you have a lot of debt, your interest is building on itself over time. So it can snowball out of control. A lot of times, the main issue with compounding interest, again, that's when your interest earns interest earns interest. A lot of times we think of credit card debt because credit cards have very high interest rates. So if you don't stay ahead of your credit card debt, it can get out of control quickly. And we're seeing that a little bit in the student loan sector as well. So inadequate financial advisement, when you're looking to go to school and get that education because the cost is so high, you have to watch how are you financing that or how are you going to be paying for those tuition payments. Of course, rising college costs is another piece. And the student loan system is generally having some difficulties. And a lot of this is why we're hearing student loan forgiveness come into play more and more these days. 529 plans, again, 529 plans are special accounts where people can save some money. Typically, when you have kids, to save specifically for college, there's tax advantages to using a 529 plan for education, and that's one way that you can save for school. The thing is, they're not that helpful unless you start it soon, because not a lot of people can dump a ton of money into 529 plans. There's actually limits on how much you can put in 529 plans. So again, these are things where if you look at your cash flow and you check your receipts and you live within your means, you can try to chip away at saving for college really as early as possible. And maybe you're not, a kid. I don't think most people here are, young children. This is a 529 plan. You can use it at any point in your life. You could start saving now, and maybe you want to use it in 5 years. So age also doesn't have to be a full factor in 529 plans. On the retirement side, 401ks and IRAs, they help people save for retirement. So 529 plan for college, IRAs, 401ks, 403bs. These are things we use for retirement. And when you talk about compounding interest, that's a good thing for your savings and investments. So while debt can snowball out of control because the compounding interest, Compounding interest with your investments means that your money is earning interest, and you're growing that asset over time. So there's obviously a lot of other things we can talk about, but a couple of the basics about college and retirement planning. But Stacy, I know that you have a lot more to do, so I don't want to hold you up anymore. What's next?
I don't know if I can turn to the chat. Someone asked, is the 529 plan available with the bank?
So each state sponsors a 529 plan. So for example, in the state of Pennsylvania, the website is literally PA 529 plan. And so not every bank sponsors 529 plans. Most of the time, banks are going to be looking at loans to help people finance a business or to purchase a residence, or they're going to be looking at helping you manage your cash, right? What are you paying your bills with? Where do you keep your emergency fund? Do you want to buy a CD? Some banks also offer investment management services, but a lot of times in banks, those are two separate items. So your bank may offer those services, but typically they're two different organizations under the same roof, if you will. So you would have to talk to your bank and financial institution to determine if they'll offer it. But again, the key here is that 529 plans are sponsored by the state. They're not run by the state. They're sponsored, and that's why you get your tax breaks, because the state gives you a tax break by contributing to them. So again, same question could be, does my bank offer an IRA? Probably, but you'd want to check with your bank, and then, obviously look at other financial institutions as well.
Great, thank you. Yes, so we're going to just get back to this. So thanks for all that information. Step 9, the front of the file folder decoration. Decide, again, lots of decisions to be made. So here actually is the front of your file folder. So if you have our kit, everyone got 3 strips of paper. So pick one that you would like to basically place here for decorations. I love this monochrome one. So you're going to take this, again, another 2.5 strip of adhesive and cut another 2.5 piece off, and you're gonna take that piece and put it over, I'll call this the bind. Excuse me, sorry, I dropped my so I'm gonna take that off and put it over that bind. So cut another 2.5 piece of the double-sided tape, and we're gonna place that right on here. If you have any excess because you cut too much, or you can just cut it. All right. Peel the other side off. So what you're going to do is decide what you want to put. If you want to even put anything there at all, maybe you want to embellish that with stickers too, but I'm going to use one of my decorative pieces. And I'm just going to stick that on here and cut off the excess right along the bottom. So, so any preferred strip of paper that you'd like, adhere to the top, and then press down and cut off any remaining on the bottom. So that's your bind. So you can, the next step we're going to jump to is the frame. You have border stickers. You can, so if you have our kit or anything that you're using at home to embellish your scrapbooking page, you're going to really, I'm going to look to maybe put something here to cover my strip. I have these cute ladybugs, so I will take that. Since I want the whole thing, I'm actually going to create a border
Stacy, while
and-
you're doing that, I would like to
Yeah.
mention a couple ways, changes that have occurred in the financial industry over the last few years.
Yes,
If
please.
that works for you, that could be really helpful for this course here today.
Okay.
There's also another question in the chat.
So is that the what would be a good rollover account to use if you retired and have a 401k from your employer? This is a tough area, and we don't want to give financial advice today, but we do want to provide literacy. To be very fair about it, I think that you have two options. You can keep your money in a 401k plan at work. There's no issue with that. You can also roll it over to an IRA account. When you move into the world of IRAs, typically the advantage for most of the time, and I guess I should say this is not uniform, but most people use IRAs for ease of access. A lot of times they're working with a financial advisor. The financial advisor cannot work with the 401k plan that that person uses. And so a lot of people will roll over to an IRA because they have a relationship with someone they trust, to manage that money for them and create a plan into retirement. IRAs do not have a list of investments that you can pick from. That is going to vary wildly from financial institution to institution, right? Everyone's going to offer something different. So you would want to have an understanding of what's available in IRAs versus 401ks. But at the end of the day, I think the best thing you can do is create a plan on how to manage your savings, your lifelong savings. You've spent this whole time accumulating your money, and now it's really important to get some understanding of how are you going to spend it now in retirement. And so you can evaluate if your 401k plan can do that, or if you're better off doing it in an IRA. Another thing is some people like to manage this stuff yourself, and other people want to hire an advisor. Depends on what you're comfortable with. So I wouldn't necessarily endorse like a single company, but an IRA is just a tax shelter. The thing is, what's inside of the IRA? Is it stocks, bonds, CDs, annuities? Inside of this IRA, you can have a lot of different types of investments. So it's not necessarily one IRA is better than the other. It's really about what's inside of that IRA, and making a financial plan is really what helps dictate that. So I hope that answers that question. I guess kind of circling back around, if there's other questions, happy to answer them. But over time, there's been a lot of bumps in the road and some positive things in the financial services industry. Most recently in 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act was set into law. And so that obviously had implications for personal finance. We needed to get inflation under control after COVID. Back in 2010, there was something called the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. That was a big deal. It really created a lot of regulations for banks and financial institutions resulting from the financial crash in 2008. And so the Wall Street Reform Act really was helpful in reducing the risk that was occurring kind of behind the scenes, causing some of those problems. In 1989, FICO credit scores were created to help people and companies track and compare credit and credit worthiness. So when you look at debt typically, or if you want to buy a home, your credit score is going to be a pretty important part of that. The bank or the lender is trying to determine if they lend you that money, are you going to be able to pay them back? And if they're a little worried about you paying them back, they might charge you a little higher interest rate, meaning the cost of that house is going to be a little bit higher. If you have a really great track record on paying your credit cards, paying your bills over time, the longer the track record, the better, then you're probably going to have a lower interest rate. And that's going to make that home purchase or whatever, a car purchase, anything including a loan, is going to make that loan a little bit more affordable for you. So the FICO score is created to assist with that. And over 110 years ago, the Smith-Lever Act was provided access to college readiness courses. So it's amazing how long ago that was.
Yeah. And now we can learn a lot about financial literacy through online courses on the topic. And
Yep.
we can read more about finance from folks like Robert Kiyosaki, I hope I'm saying that right, Damon John, and Ben Stein. But when it comes to acting on any advice, no matter who you hear it from, make sure you seek advice from an expert when you do your financial planning. So, for example, you can see a retirement advisor, a financial advisor, an estate planner, tax attorneys, debt consolidators, bankruptcy professional.
That's definitely true. So what's next on our craft?
Thank you. Yep, we are almost done. So I just want to show you, as you can see, I was busy as Dylan was talking and answering your great questions. I was really just adding some borders with some of the materials in the kit. And you can do that however you'd like. I cut them to size. So I just want to show you the file folder nameplate. So you can write what it's going to be. You can put something on top of here, like maybe I will take this and put this on top of here. So really find what you want, where you want to place the puffy shaped. If you do have our kit, you can use that. Maybe you want to put it on the longer spine or the shorter spine. Do be careful. This is not so forgiving. It's very sticky. So when you do peel it off, it isn't the easiest to move. And I will probably, and you can also cut it, cut to size as well. So I just placed mine there. So what I'm probably going to do is maybe just cut it and do some layering also. But that's really where, you know, you really can decide. But again, just remember it is very sticky. You can write on this as well, but it's like the double-sided tape. So just be careful of whatever you put there might just come off. So I'm going to peel it off and do some layering myself. And then what I would do is like right on here, maybe I need restaurant receipts, anything like that that you want to label there. You have the spine to decorate with as well. Write something, draw something. If you were using, if you did use contact paper, so the good thing about that is you can take it off and put some of the embellishments on the inside. And that's the joy of using the contact paper because they stay in there and don't really move around. Just in time, the contact paper may get loose. So if you do love that look, you can glue it down or tape it down, whichever you'd like to do. Always remember, cut off any excess sides that may be sticking out. Always just think about how do you want this to stick out wherever you're displaying them. Do you want this side to show? Because then maybe that's where you'll write the name of what it is. Or do you want this side to show? Because then maybe when you're going to grab it, you know what you want to pull out from. So everyone, you did get rectangular, same style sheets. You got a pair of heart single stickers. Again, this is a sticker. You know, you're really free. You can overlap in one area. You can put embellishments anywhere you'd like. So I put my little heart there. You can add other papers. You can write. I don't really have the neatest handwriting, but you can really use your new scrapbooking skills however you would like to. Lots of design. Nothing really goes to waste with scrapbooking. So any excess that you cut from, you can always, if you have stencils, you can cut around the stencils. That's the great thing about scrapbooking is all scraps can be used for something. I want to show you really quick. I was messing around with the template and I just made it a little bit bigger. I didn't get to decorate this one, embellish it. This is still kind of my blank clean slate to work with. But I just used heavy cardstock. So I made a taller one because I do have some taller receipts that I do like to keep and maybe not fold or anything like that. And that's what you do, you know, if you want to make a large one and use the cereal box, you can really, you know, use the template, scale it to size and, you know, get creative and try to enlarge it if you want to play around and have something bigger. But this is our file folder today. So I hope you've enjoyed the craft. Are there any questions? Anyone that's been following along? Does anyone want to show us? Has anyone created a product? Okay.
Stacy, will you put this on
I'll
your
show
desk?
you mine.
Would I put it on the desk? Yes. Yeah, I actually have, yeah, I did this one. I'm a smiley face girl. So I made like I use stickers and put a little smiley face. I do have this on the desk. See, these are, I put gas on there and my gas receipt's awesome.
Oh, there's Anita's.
Oh,
Nice.
cool. Look at that. And, oh, beautiful. Oh, you drew on yours. I love it. Awesome. Very good. Very good. Yes. And I see that you put your, yeah, so you can see I left my design with the markings of the template on the outside. But yeah, you can turn it around so that it's inside as well. And you don't see the pen marks. Beautiful. Awesome, awesome. Oh, I love yours. Anita, let me see your design too. I love the blue. Cool. Yeah. Beautiful. I hope everyone enjoyed scrapbooking with me today. And thank you for joining. And,
Thank you, Stacy,
yeah,
for
continue.
walking us through it. Thank you to Dylan for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that awesome information. And thank you to our wonderful scrapbookers. I hope you continue learning about scrapbooking and about financial literacy. We'll be sending out our event video and infographic in a follow-up email by the end of the week. We encourage you to share that with others. And please consider committing to a weekly act to raise awareness about issues about financial literacy. So, you know, even for yourself, like learn something new, start a spreadsheet, start saving those receipts and planning for the future. Getting informed by coming to an event like this is a great way to start. And we're gonna put a poll up right now, if Tyler would, that will be different than the poll that we'll send a little survey in our email. But please answer these questions now. What else? I can tell you our next free craft related event is on productive discourse. We also have a much to discuss event coming up on the 14th. We're going to play some games. And there's a bunch of upcoming events posted on the website, informyourcommunity.org. Check it out. And please like and subscribe. Please consider donating because that helps cover the cost of these free crafting kits and free events. And that's how we stay alive. Finances, y'all. Financial literacy for everyone.
Finance is fun.
So much fun, especially those student loans. Those are really fun.
Thanks so much, Dylan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you,
Luna,
everyone.
the next event is next week, Luna.
Luna. Okay.
Next Thursday.
Sign up for next
1 week.
Thursday.
1 week from today.
Informyourcommunity.org. Bye, y'all.
Yes, it's on Eventbrite as well, Luna.
Are we closed?